Okay, are you seeing the website?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So this is our homepage, and I think one of the important things to note is we just take a very practical approach to making sure that the website says what we do.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, we always want to make sure that people know how they can get a hold of us, like we talked about. So we have a phone number right here. We have this chat button down here if somebody wants to click on that. And then we recently, actually, we changed this little chat bot. One of the things we did recently was to change that so that it only triggers on certain, we have a pop-up. Sorry, let me get to this. Well, let's do a quick overview. So here's our homepage. We have the contact information, the chat bot, and this shows the product, right? So we have, here's what the actual camera looks like. Here's how the app works on your mobile device, which most of our customers use our product on a mobile device. And then here's how it works on a screen. So very clear, all the different things that we need the customer to understand right away. And then whether they want to find more information and have a one-on-one consultation, or if they're ready to shop. Mm-hmm. And then right up here, here's very specific information around self-service for how they can, the data plan works, the web app, instructions, both if they just are curious, if they order, and then, or if they order it and down the road want to move their product and have lost their instructions. And then here is what you and I were talking about earlier, where we make sure that we're building out landing pages for each of these sub-segments of our customer base. So right now, we have several who use them for barn cameras. And that may be to watch to make sure their water tank has water in it. It may be something as simple as that, where they don't want to drive and see if there's water in the water tank. Farm security, we've seen an increase in property security needs during COVID, where people maybe their employees can't all go to work, so they're working with a reduced labor force. Mm-hmm. And remote surveillance, and then trail cameras. And a lot of people use cameras and solutions like this when they're hunting. Mm-hmm. So this is where we've been building out the different solutions, and there's going to be a lot more to come. So that's just the quick, as we scroll down here, we have a video intro, some testimonials, ratings and credibility, just a basic how the whole thing works. We get a lot of questions around cellular data. Mm-hmm. So you can see where all the places it works. We have a billing and a map to make sure that people can get coverage. So what can I monitor? Download a guide. How can you save money? And then all the basic information. So, it's just very practical.
The thing I notice here is that the sales pitch is very subtle. It seems like a lot of the content here is, I was going through your site, it's very focused on content, teaching, because I'm assuming maybe it's the same insight that your founder had, that maybe farmers don't think about this is possible. So you're really looking to educate them that this is possible and answer any questions that they have, and just trust that once they're convinced that they are going to hit that shop now button. Because your usual e-commerce, you would see some carousels with some prices and some products on that. But was that a conscious decision not to feature that?
Yes, it has been a conscious decision, and I think because, again, like we said, we have a very practical customer base, and so it is an educational process, because a lot of, if you think about security and surveillance services, a lot of that industry has been targeting very expensive, infrastructure heavy, network driven systems. And so it's really important for us with our customer base to help them understand that this is possible, like you said, that it's this simple, it's just this simple, and that it works in a rural area. So for a lot of our customers, they they may start with one or two products, let's say, because they're like, really? And they may test it just to see how this works, and then they follow up and order more because they realize what a great solution it is for monitoring many things.
I mean, and the other thing is, this is also not very standard, where you have the need help and call the number. You mentioned this earlier on in the podcast, where it seems like your target group don't expect to get to a human being with customer service. And so you're just really putting that front and center just to challenge that assumption, so to speak, right?
Right. Yes. And I mean, we do get some phone calls, but increasingly with the addition of the chatbot, we get a lot more questions through this than we do with the phone call. But at least people know that they can call. And I think sometimes it's
Mm.
knowing that there's an actual US phone number, I'm going to get a person. They may or may not call, but it can also give them, I think, confidence when they purchase to know that
Mhm.
if I have a problem, there's a phone number I can call someone.
And so I want to just be careful here for people listening that this is not something which everybody should do. This is like
No.
very clearly deliberately done because the type of product that you are selling requires, I guess, a lot of it's a very sophisticated product that the person who's buying it needs to really understand before, versus a toothbrush, which is like the extreme, where you probably don't need help or do some come on the call. So I don't want anyone looking at this and just applying everything here. I think the lesson learned here is just really appreciate what kind of questions your customer would have. And if there are a lot, then perhaps a kind of homepage design like this might be very helpful.
Yes, and I think you also would never want to do this if you didn't have the infrastructure to support it. So we emphasize our support. Our customer support is, creating value for our customers, reliability, and support are
Right.
three of our differentiators. And so for us, that customer support feature is really important because they want, people do have questions about, does this tie into my cell phone, or is it on a separate cellular plan? So you certainly wouldn't want to do this if you did not have the infrastructure to support it as well.
Gotcha. So can you take us through the buying process? So let's say I read this and I'm thinking, huh, this sounds interesting. So show us
Great.
how that looks.
Yeah, I mean, it's really simple. If you just go here to, these are our three, we simplified it. These are our three top selling products. So
Mhm.
this is the basic. You can buy just one range cam, you can buy an essential bundle, or you can add the solar bundle. And
Mhm.
so this is where we start. And then as people look through here, then they may come over here to accessories, very simple again, and then they can add whether if they have access to power, they can add a power adapter, they can add a replacement antenna, batteries, and then they click through if they need specific mounts, locks. So it's very simple, clean.
So it sounds like when someone's coming in for the first time, they are most likely obviously going to want to get the camera. But then once they get the camera, now their most likely thing that you can sell is hopefully another camera. If they've got another installation, they can
Yeah.
use it, but more likely the accessories, correct?
Yes. Yes. I mean, probably one of the things, what ends up happening is if they try, let's say they just get a range cam, very often, if they come back, they'll come back and buy a bundle because they'll realize I like having the solar panel, not having to always work with batteries. They will maybe if they realize they have some power that they can connect to, and then maybe a lock if they're worried about theft, and then these types of things. They may buy the camera and not yet know where they want to put them, so they may come back and buy some kind of screw mount or other mount because they've realized there's another place they'd like to put it. But
Gotcha.
most often, if people come back, they're buying additional cameras.
And how do you think about this? Because it's clearly the first time customer in terms of profile and what they'll buy is very distinct from the second time, right? Like the returning person. Like, I mean, we just talked about the accessories. So does that influence the way you do marketing or change your homepage at all just to try to recognize this? Or is this something that's not really an issue?
No, it is something we're thinking about. And it's actually something we're preparing to do because we've seen so many people come back and buy multiple cameras, and we're seeing an increase in demand from
Mhm.
the surveillance market versus just the ag market. And so, probably what you'll see coming up is going to be on this front page, on the cameras page here, is more of a camera kit. So, if people want to buy in multiples of 5 cameras or 10 cameras, and so instead of buying one camera with a kit, then you're going to see a menu that's going to say one camera, 3 cameras, 5 cameras, and then also a different shopping option for data plans. So we're getting ready to roll that out probably in the next 3 months because we're seeing such an increase in the number of people coming back and buying multiple cameras or even starting out buying multiple cameras. So we started to see more people working in the security market, you know,
Right.
around rural assets, and they have a better idea of what they need.